Crisscross to make you jump, jump. 94.
Whoa. Whoa. I don't get it.
They wore their pants backwards.
Okay.
Huh?
Crisscross, jump, jump. Downloads jumping.
Whatever.
I hate you guys.
On this week's episode of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast, we talk about the new update from Google, enabling Gemini for all ages. How will your district handle this decision, and what are your options for bringing AI to all age levels? Thanks for listening.
Live from the NTP studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. I am Josh. This is episode 219. The band is back together. Mark is back.
Boys are back in town.
Mark is off special assignment. We'll have an update from him as to what he was doing last week and the breaking news he has from that special assignment. Chris?
That was, just to clarify, that was not me singing right there.
No, we
That
all know
was.
that was Chris.
Yeah.
Prove it, Mark.
Former emo band.
The only way to prove it is for you to sing again.
I don't even know where I was going. This is episode 219. Send us an email. What email are we sending them to? Info at what? K12 Tech Talk
Yeah, our
Podcast?
professional email is info@k12techtalkpodcast.com. Old school, we started this in our basements, is k12techtalk@gmail.com. Pick your poison.
Yes, pick your poison. Chris, how was vacation?
Excellent. Besides the seaweed, you can look that up on the
Yeah.
TikTok.
It's been a thing for years.
It was an uptick.
Yeah.
It was an increase. But we had no rain, only sun. Got a little sun kissed.
You got some
It was real nice.
Mario Kart time in.
Mario Kart on the Switch 2 on the plane.
Yeah, your wife was roasting you on social media
Yeah.
about that. She posted a picture of you on the airplane with your Mario Kart themed Switch 2 case.
Yeah, I went to Walmart just before and I needed a case because the Switch 2 is bigger and they only had one.
It's fine. I didn't see a problem.
The angle and your view was like she was taking a picture of her child. Like,
Yeah.
so proud of my little Chris with his Switch 2.
He didn't cry on the plane.
I was a good kid.
And you're like, I want the aisle, please.
Can I have some more peanuts?
I felt like people on that plane were jealous
Oh, I'm sure.
when I was throwing bananas.
Oh, geez.
Anyways, had a good trip.
You want to talk about a sponsor that has allowed you to buy that Switch 2?
Yeah, it sponsors like Eaton that let me purchase things I don't need. And I'm going to put a link to this in the podcast description. It's a case study, right, to a lower Cusco-Quim school district, a success story. If you wonder where that's at, Josh, you should know it's in a remote part of Alaska.
Oh, yeah?
And they needed some uptime, and sometimes Alaska gets some weather that's not so great. So Eaton came in, did a special bit for them because they did have quality issues with their power. They did need uptime. They're trying to teach kids. Kids in Alaska need an education too, just like everybody else. So a pretty cool case study about how Eaton came through for them with, in particular, the Eaton 9PX UPS. I'll put a link to that in the podcast description.
Tomorrow is the summer solstice, right? Longest day of the year?
You would know.
June 20th, I think, right?
I don't have
But in
any-
certain
I don't
parts
know
of
my
Alaska,
Alaskan facts.
their days, well, everywhere, the days are going to start getting shorter in the northern hemisphere, but they lose like 7 minutes of daylight a day. It's crazy.
If they lose power, it's a problem.
It's a problem, especially in the winter. Could you imagine being dark all 24 hours and losing power and not having any lights?
There he goes again. He's going off on Alaska.
I'm excited. We're going back. We're going
Insane.
back. It's an Alaskan tour. You guys should join us. We could make it an Alaskan tour. It could be one big write-off. We could all go to Alaska.
I have my Alaska book.
I know.
I'm not going with you.
Oh, come on, Mark. I'm a lot of fun.
Josh, we've taken trips with you.
I just don't fly with me. Take a different flight. Just don't fly with me.
We have. There's a lot of pacing.
Yes, there is a lot of pacing.
Nervousness. There's a lot of anger if things don't go right.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
we've
Yeah.
actually flown and drove.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we've done all-
neither. Yeah, both are bad, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But you are a great friend, and I love you, and it's all good.
Oh, geez. So it's summertime. Man, July 1 is right around the corner. E-rate, being able to install all your new E-rate stuff, is coming soon next week. Make sure to get your, what is it, 470 46s, right, Chris?
Yep, yep, yep.
July 1, you need to start filing those 46s if you have internet service or you started getting services early in the month of July. Get that stuff done.
I did the whole got the school and where I'm supposed to walk says wet wax.
Oh, it's that season.
And I had a
Yes.
decision. I start walking around the building, and then a maintenance guy says, "Hey, you can go in through that wet wax door." And I'm like, I don't know how I feel. So I did it. Summer's good. I ordered a bunch of I ordered all my devices.
You just now ordered
Just
your Chromebooks?
no Chromebooks this year,
Oh,
just some Windows laptops that are supposedly in stock and on their way. All right, Mark, you got some news.
start with the depressing news if you've got any.
I don't have too much depressing news. Let's start national. KOSA, the Kids Online Safety Act. We've talked about this for many years. It actually started way back in 2022. It is back again and it is gaining momentum.
Back again.
Some of the
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
modifications,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
this is good for K-12. It actually reduces the workload for schools, puts more of the onus on social media companies. Just to kind of recap, the real goal of this is to build social media platforms that are safer for students to use. And so the focus is less about moderating content and more about moderating some of the more addictive features. So like endless scrolling,
Huh.
autoplay, in-game purchases, notifications that are more addictive. So those are the types of things that the bill aims to moderate, and that's all on the social media companies and very, very few implications towards schools. It's very interesting. Some of the opposition that was against this bill originally has actually withdrawn their opposition. So it's very possible that we should see KOSA hit the House and possibly make its way through this year.
I guess I like this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm also like a parent, and I just tell my kid to get off their device.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But a lot of times, I mean, that's me, right? Um,
You are not every parent,
I could
and,
probably
and
use these settings some days, to be honest. The endless scrolling gets me down.
yeah.
No, I'm thrilled about this, and I'm thrilled that it has bipartisan support. This is all about cutting away some of the more addictive features in social media and helping students to be a little bit more conscious of how they use the tools. So I think it's great. I know that there's always going to be opposition to a bill like this, but the compromises that they've made in the most recent updates are for me are fantastic. So.
My son, how old is my son? He's 17, so not yet 18, not yet an adult. He's taken some college classes using some chat GPT. We do give our kids, our oldest kids, like our credit card, like in case of
Sure.
blah blah blah. Anyways,
Mhm.
he signed up for some free premium chat GPT, and
Uh-oh.
then the renewal hit, uh, and he didn't see it. So then the credit card took it. So then Chase got to experience what it's like calling and talking to customer service to get your refund. And so,
Oh.
a little recklessness can be beneficial for adulthood too, I guess.
Well, if he has a .edu account, Gemini, both Gemini and ChatGPT have given college kids free paid subscription for the next year. Gemini ends summer of 2026. I don't know, remember when ChatGPT ends, but that's for college kids if they have a .edu
This
account.
is great news.
Yeah, came out about a month ago, right around finals time.
I wonder if that's what he thought he was doing, because
Could
that's
be,
literally a month ago.
Mm,
but he would need to sign up with his
Not
college
personal.
account.
Yeah,
Yeah, his
no.
college account.
I'll check into that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Well,
good sir.
speaking of which, Google and Microsoft have both announced in recent weeks, Google just announcing this week that Gemini and NotebookLM is now available to all ages. It is classified as a core service. There was a message sent out. Please, 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 if you did not get this message, check your Google admin account, the administrator account, because you may not be checking your super user account. And it gives you instructions on what to do to opt out If you do not want this available to all ages, it will go live on August 1st for all users in your domain, unless you are opting out. We've posted a couple of questions online about this. We're going to talk about to enable or to not enable later in the episode, talking more generally about Gemini and ChatGPT. But now you have the two major LLMs that are available K-12, and the decision is now in
Shoot,
your hands as to whether you enable it this summer.
that's big news.
Yeah,
You read that email, take that in, figure it out
yeah.
for sure. Powergistics, our friend Christine, my friend Christine over there, I'm going to post a video. It's kind of funny video talking about the human-centered design and technology and how humans screw that up. They make charging carts, but they did it with a human-centered design. I got to interview basically one of the OGs of that was a tech guy that needed a nice charging cart. Uh, you know, how do you go about that? I've seen a lot of bad charging carts and a lot of bad solutions for that problem. But Powergistics is a good one. There's lots of poor design and technology all over the place. USB-A being one, and then things got better. USB-C is meant to be, do you do it right side down, upside up, whatever. Is the port too fragile? Blah, 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 blah. So they have a video. It's kind of fun to watch, but check out Powergistics if you're in the business of needing some charging stations for your kiddos.
Next up, the state of Maine has joined the state of New Hampshire in handing out Yubikey. So I think these are the first two states that I have seen. I did try looking to see if there are other states rolling out MFA statewide to municipalities and schools. So I haven't found anybody yet. I do think there are a number of other states that have implemented similar measures with insurance policies, but these two states, New Hampshire and now Maine, have implemented MFA by actually handing out the one thing that stops that excuse from not enabling MFA. So now if you are in a municipality or school district in one of those two states and you do not want to use your personal device, your state has an answer for you.
Yeah. When we were up in New Hampshire, remember Neil and Pam were talking about that initiative rolling out in New Hampshire. They were using SLCGP money to do that. Mark, do you know, does the article say if Maine was using SLCGP as well?
It is exactly that. Yes, they're using
Awesome.
the same funding,
Very cool.
funding structure to do that. So I think it's a great approach for both of those states to do that. You guys know we're super fans of New Hampshire and Maine. And these two states are doing some super innovative things, and it's great for them to just knock off MFA as one of those things that they don't need to keep arguing about.
Yeah, the sentence here, approximately 11,300 Yubikeys have been deployed. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a good amount for us. Well, I mean, if you're thinking that's not a lot, that's for Maine, that is a huge percentage of their population. So kudos to them.
I'll see the CISO for the state of Maine next week. I'll have to ask him about that. See how that's going.
And then the last news item, which I wish I actually had an update on, is E-rate. We are still waiting with bated breath. Hopefully next week's episode, we're going to be talking all about the Supreme Court case on E-rate and the decision. But right now, nothing.
Give me that E-rate and free my soul.
Again, that is Chris singing.
Mark, what is up with you tonight?
I think we talked pre-show about this, but I'm pretty sure that should come on Wednesdays are major release dates, right? For opinions. So hopefully we'll get that on Wednesday. They won't release it like Friday at 5:00 because they're locking the door so they don't get bombarded.
And they've been making decisions. They've been spitting out stuff like let's get the E-rate. Let's do it.
Yeah, it is kind of strange that they've held on to this one till the end, which I don't know. You could say that's concerning. You could say that's a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. There was an additional document filed stating that the Senate is prepared to take action should the Supreme Court strike down E-rate. That was actually, I believe it was a quote from Ted Cruz saying, "Don't worry, I got this one. Feel free to knock it down if you need to." I'm paraphrasing his quote, but you kind of get the idea. I don't really have a lot of faith in the Senate taking this particular action, given everything else is going on right now, but we will see.
Did that quote come from his Tucker Carlson interview the other day?
Ooh.
I don't think it was covered on that episode.
Moving on.
It'll be interesting to see how this comes down. And what the structure of the opinion is, if it's a unanimous opinion or if it's a divided opinion, what that breakdown is going to be. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be just as interesting as what the opinion is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I'm very optimistic about it, but you're right. I think the split is going to be fascinating to see what
Should
happens.
should we take bets since we almost know that
Mm.
this has to come in the next week? Should we prognosticate here?
And we need we need something that bears fruit. We need we need to say something and then something happens.
If I will go out on a limb and I will say that they will make a decision that keeps E-rate in place as is, but it will be a split decision 6-3.
Oh wow.
Um, and
6-3.
if I am wrong, I will buy each of you a beverage of your choice within reason
Locked in.
At Midwest Tech Talk.
Done. Thank you for your time.
Sounds great.
You too?
Managed Methods, a
I-
proud sponsor of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. This episode brought to you by them. They are the trusted leader in K-12 cybersecurity, student safety, and compliance. We know that there's ransomware, there's phishing, all the things. There's student safety incidents. We have compliance that we need to pay attention to. Managed Methods does some purpose-built solutions for all of those things. They can keep some tabs on your email, your shared files, your browsing, classroom management, to help your students be safe and secure with their learning. They can give you a 30-day trial. Check them out, managementmethods.com.
Are you
Mark,
going to
what say you, though?
prognosticate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark, what do you thought? What do you think?
Our main topic for tonight
Oh,
is
come on. Make a prediction, you two.
I'm going to go 7-2
Okay.
in favor.
In favor?
Two,
Okay.
7-2.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't pay attention to what they typically do. So I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to prevail. You say 6-3, 7-2.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Do 8-1.
Or say unanimous. I mean, you could always go unanimous.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I'm in. All chips on the table.
In
It's very
favor.
possible. Very
It-
possible.
I mean, it
Linked
could happen.
arms.
Well, and we've talked about this at length, but I think the repercussions for this law on other topics
Yes.
outside of E-rate
Yes.
is pointing towards both bipartisan support. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You guys are buying me Ghost Welches.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that, but okay. All three of us are predicting a ruling in favor of keeping E-rate. I think that's the important takeaway here.
Correct.
And we're typically right.
What if we're what if we're wrong though? Like what
Yeah.
happens?
I think that will be a telling thing as well. That says something if
Yep.
we're wrong.
Then we're out of touch. All right, Mark, what else? Are we moving on? Or do you have a final news story?
That's it for the news.
Okay. Chris, we have main topics tonight, right?
Yes, but before that, let me talk about VIZOR, VIZOR. VIZOR wants to give a shout out to the team over at Strafford. That's in Missouri.
Down there by
Uh,
Springfield.
Yeah. They've been using their asset management help desk for a while. They have great things to say about it. So if you're a Missouri folk, you can reach out to them. They quote say that VIZOR is super efficient and a complete 180 change compared to what they were using previously. So check out VIZOR. That's visor.cloud/K12 Tech Talk. visor.cloud/K12 Tech Talk. Also, VIZOR is going to be at Midwest Tech Talk. That's coming up in July. And they're actually doing a session. They're giving away our shirts and our hoodies. I think it's our hoodies. They're going to have some VIZOR visors that we invented. So I'm going to put some links to VIZOR in the podcast description, but check them out. They can help you with their asset management and your help desk.
Did I see that one of the very popular free help desk systems might start with the letter S and P is going to a forced paid model?
Yeah, I did see somebody mouthing that. I didn't read good
Yeah.
about it, but
So, I mean, if you're, it might be the time to look for other solutions, and VIZOR would be right up your alley for that.
agree.
All right, what do we got for main topics, gentlemen?
Well, coming back to what we talked about earlier, the main LLMs, Microsoft CoPilot and Gemini are now available to all ages. And so Chris did a great article, including the instructions on what you need to do if you're a Google admin, and posed the question, what you going to do now? The ball is in your court. Are you turning on AI models for all of your students, or are you turning it off? or are you doing some sort of mixture? So, gentlemen, why don't we just start with what are you doing or what are you recommending?
Um, so for faculty, we have it on. We're not blocking it, any really of the AI models. For students though, it's going to be turned off for now. And I commented over on Pro. Somebody made the comment that we need to embrace it and prepare these students for life after high school,
Hmm.
moving on to the real world. Totally agree. It's not going away. They need to know how to use it. There are some comparisons that you can draw with calculator. I still think it's considerably different than a calculator, but I get it and I agree. However, there are districts like mine where there were laws passed in our state that said we had to come up with an AI policy. We are taking this next year to train our faculty on our policy and our stance. We're testing out different models, be that Gemini or GPT or Magic School or Brisk. We're taking this next year to really get faculty comfortable with whatever that product is and getting them used to what our guardrails are. What I foresee is next year this time we will start talking about possibly enabling a resource or two for students, specifically high school level. I see
Yeah.
to start using, and that could be NotebookLM, it could be Gemini, it could be any number of tools, Magic School, the student tools. But from my district, we're a year out for student use. I think.
Yeah, we did. It was last school year that we intentionally spoke. So like we turned on Gemini app and then we spoke of a chat GPT. Um, that was the first year we actually talked to our teachers about it, like when I did faculty meetings and did emails out, that kind of thing. But we don't support it. You can't do a tech ticket on Gemini
Right.
today, and we're going to help you. We just said this is on and started giving some small education about what you should do with it, how you can do things with it, kind of thing. But we block all AI for students. So reading through this and seeing how, and one of those easy things to say was, well, it's not age appropriate for kids. That's why it's off. So Google's changing that. Um, so we just did an AI committee towards the end of this school year. So still landing on, we're going to have these things on for staff and off for students. But we are starting to pick our poison of here's the 3, 4 apps that we support. And some of the, and we can start bantering about this, I guess, but some of the posts like on K12 sysadmin where again the differences between Gemini app and then like the premium Gemini,
Oh yeah,
there's still major differences between those
absolutely.
things and how that's going to impact K12. This is just quote unquote just the app. This is quote unquote just Notebook LM. Uh, so Josh is mentioning other products. There's still a lot of different choices for a lot of different things you're trying to pull off.
And I think that gets into that discussion of I don't know that one product really fits all use cases, all subjects, all grade levels appropriately. I mean, there are certain tools, Magic School comes to mind, Brisk comes to mind, that can be used at multiple levels with very good specific outputs and inputs. Um, but I don't know if I'm comfortable yet telling our teachers, look, you are only to use Brisk or you are only to
Yeah.
use Magic School. I'm not there yet, and I don't know that I will get there. It's going to be an interesting walk.
I have been giving advice to school districts that's kind of a little bit different, or is a little bit different. I have said specifically to the IT folks that it is best for you to guide people towards a smaller set of tools and provide people with kind of a walled garden that they can play in. So for me, I'm more on the side of I would rather have people using LLMs within a tool that I have visibility and control over,
Sure.
Mhm.
so that if there is an issue, we might have the logs or, we can kind of put controls in if we need to. But I would rather say, hey, we're going to turn Gemini on for all students or some grades. And we're focusing on Gemini because A, it's within our environment, it's within our license, we have a legal agreement in place, and I have technical controls and visibility into this environment. If you're a Microsoft district, then by all means turn on Microsoft Copilot. Don't try to mix and match. But I would rather have people in one place rather than one person's here, one person's there, one person's there. Students are on their phones doing something, whatever you don't know, and then you have zero visibility.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Mark. I think that discussion of, we already pay for buy up Google, Google Education plus whatever
Yeah,
it's called today. And that includes several functions of generative AI. That's an easy conversation to have. We already own it.
Yep.
Here, go play with it. Makes
yep.
complete sense. Um, yeah,
I was do
I don't disagree at all.
I was doing a PD for a district and the tech director couldn't be there. And the night before, I was like, well, what do you want me to say to teachers to use? And he goes, oh, you can just tell them to use whatever they want. I'm not going to say that. I need to know, like, from your perspective, where do you want people to go? Because I'm about to set people off on a pathway. And if I say, go ahead and choose your own adventure, you're going to have to wrangle them all back in 6 to 12 months from now. So
And
I'd
Man,
rather
I've had to
say,
do some of that wrangling that you're talking about. So last, like I guess 2 years ago, and to know I'm not like this isn't like a fault, whatever, but like our curriculum person that does like this newsletter that goes out, her job is to get people excited about things.
yeah, yeah,
So she would give a lot of different apps to like check out. And again, she's doing that because the district hasn't made a decision on what we're
yep,
using. We don't support anything. So now we're trying to bring it back in. Now we're doing a committee to try to figure out here's the two things we supported or the three. And Mark,
yeah,
forever ago, you had shared a spreadsheet with us about the different things that are available in our committee. I shared that,
common
and
sense
there's some
media. Yeah.
yes, and there's some of them have great concerns
hmm
where you don't know what they're doing with the data or they haven't signed the DPA or whatever.
yeah,
And then like the small sample that is our committee, hands are going up that they've used it, that they've tried that. Well, that's not something that the district's going to support. So I don't know that we're going to end up blocking those things, but man, we need to get to a point where like we're saying, here's what you should be. Here's the district supported resource.
Yeah.
yeah,
Historically, I've tried taking that stance of like, we have a tool that does, let's just say, screen record. That's built into Chromebooks now. You can record yourself giving a presentation through Google Slides automatically, and it saves to Google Drive. To me, that should be the district's default
yeah,
recording of a presentation tool.
Yep.
However, I still have teachers and building admins that are going out and buying Screencastify subscriptions. So it's that weird conversation of, look, we have these official tools. You really need to stop going out on your own and almost being that shadow IT
yeah,
and buying these things on your own.
yeah,
Josh, I had shared so we're both doing AI committees and we've been sharing notes a little bit. And I know I shared with you an interesting thing with our committee, and I don't know that and this is why I believe in committees. I don't know that they knew that they were saying this, but they started having discussions about
Oh yeah, this is
teachers pay
great.
teachers.
Yeah.
So this is an AI committee. We start discussing teachers pay teachers because the conversation was around we should only do things that the district supports. So we had a third grade, and again, I'm just tech guy, not teacher, right? But we had a third grade teacher that was newer, uh, that expressed how, when she's in that pinch of a quick assignment, sick, whatever, you know, teachers pay teachers it, look for third grade resource, download it. But she doesn't actually know that it's legitimate for third grade, right? Or that it aligns with our curriculum at our school district. So the committee was landing on for AI for any website or app or any resource we use, there should be some vetting that takes place,
hmm
whether that's going to the lead teacher, whether that's going to a department head, whether that's going to a curriculum process. So I was like sitting there because like we were basically starting to say that teachers pay teachers isn't good, which
It's
techs around
not.
the world will celebrate. But that's what we're talking about. We need to like, yeah, you might have access to 20 different kinds of AI, but you only use these two. And these are the two that you should use. And it's because you got approval for it, you got professional development with it. You know it's good. You know what you're supposed to use it for.
Well,
Yeah,
that
go
came
ahead.
up a few times in some of the comments there was a K-12 Tech Pro post. There was also the Reddit post that Chris had posted up there. And there was some negativity around this one. And more than one person said, I will stay opted out. I'm going to read a direct quote from Reddit, but I'll stay opted out until I can trust AI. So probably never. And I think there are a lot of
Right.
people saying like, I don't know if I can trust this. There was conversations about the hallucinations. And so I think it's like the early days of Wikipedia where like, well, you can't trust Wikipedia. Anybody can write whatever they want. And nowadays I would view Wikipedia as one of the more trusted sources online. And I'm going to get hate for that. I get it.
No.
But
I'm
I
gonna go
think
edit your
the
Wikipedia page,
yeah.
Mark.
It gone.
I think the early days of LLMs, and we're still kind of in the early days, but the hallucinations has caused a lot of people to be very nervous about turning these things on in the classroom environment. I've seen a lot of that in the responses to this article, and I would say the majority of people who commented, this may not be the majority feeling, but the
Hmm.
majority of people who commented said, "No, I'm turning this off. We're not ready to turn this on for students yet, but yes, we are turning it on for staff."
Yeah. That yes. That's what the boat we're in.
I just did so the trip to Mexico, there's this picture. Steph and I were like in front of this sign that says Mexico. It was dark. So she does chat GPT to have it fix the image. And this is where I think this speaks to the current state of AI in general. She's like, hey, can you fix the lighting on this thing? And it wouldn't generate because our American phones don't work as well uh in Mexico. So we got back to the States and it pops up on her phone and she starts laughing hysterically. And it did its best, the best that it could do, but it made me look like Sloth off the Goonies. Hey, you
Yeah, it
guys.
just recreated the two of you instead of just
Yeah.
Yeah,
lighting up
completely.
the photo.
So
But
again, we are adults that know what to say to fix, let's change the prompt
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. But you can't tell me this is ready for a third grader or a
no,
fourth
no.
grader.
And okay, so yes, I was kind of full transparency. We went through a big process with Magic School, a lot of conversations this spring with them. And their licensing model is based on student count. And I was raising a little bit of concern with that because my original take was I'm not going to have elementary kids using AI, so why should I buy a license
Yep.
for them to allow the teachers in that building to use Magic School? And I think Chris, you need to reframe that elementary student use of AI. As an example, with Magic School, they have tools where a kid can have a conversation with an AI generated book character,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
be it from a, Mark Twain novel or whatever. That's, I think, the use of AI with elementary kids or younger kids that they're not doing research or they're not seeding research paper ideas with AI. They're interacting with AI
Yeah.
in a completely different manner.
Yeah.
So I think that's the usage there. But funny story to kind of antithesis your experience with photo editing with AI. My wife and I have been watching way too many home renovation shows. And I may have had a few adult beverages over the weekend, and we went to Lowe's and bought wallpaper, and we started wallpapering something in our kitchen. Don't do that. Horrible idea. But I took a picture of our bedroom, the wall behind our bed, and I sent it to Chat GPT and I said, "Hey, take this photo, leave all the furniture in the photo, but put wallpaper on the wall behind the bed in a dark color with gold geometrical shaping." And it did. It edited the picture
Nice.
beautifully. It was awesome. So yeah, to kind of go against your sloth photo.
The interesting thing when I look at the comments around people who are supportive of turning it on, the majority of people are turning this on for like middle and high school and above, but
Okay.
leaving it off for elementary. Ironically, though, like I do right now, I do workshops and training for school districts. High school and middle school are those are the teachers who are really freaked out about all this because they can't tell the difference between their students writing in AI. Elementary is like, no, we know right away
For
that's not a
sure.
kid.
Sure.
So it's kind of funny that you actually have less, your guard is less for the lower kids than it is. Sorry, your higher. Let me try that one again. People
Goodness.
are more guarding of the lower kids with AI than they are of the higher kids, but that's actually where the biggest concern is from the teacher's perspective. So
Yeah, I
I
I agree with that. So talking about magic school stuff, the when the chat bot stuff that Josh just talked about was so we had elementary teachers who are like, I don't know what we would do this for necessarily. I'm not necessarily against it, blah blah blah. They get the chat bot thing, but it was our high school teachers mostly that talked about, and it was our ELA teachers about the
Yes.
impact on essays, the
Yeah.
impact on assignments, that they don't have a handle.
Yeah.
Now we could well, so I guess two points. Ryan on K12 Tech Pro mentioned, I think this is to the point of even Josh talking about what you do with each. He was asking about the difference between if you could separate Gemini app and Notebook LM, and you can. Josh was before we hit record, uh, showing me I can jump in the Google admin and I can pick to turn on Notebook LM instead of Gemini app. So some interesting discussion might be, do you turn on Notebook LM for students? Because they could point that to a source, kind of like that chatbot thing.
Yeah, so that I had not thought about that rationale, but that is a really interesting thought process because Notebook LM, if you haven't played with it, typically you feed it a document or a source of some sort. It chews on it, and then it can do any number of things to it. It can make a podcast with it, it can summarize it, it can quiz you, a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. So the thought is if the student is finding content or creating content or taking an excerpt out of a book, a chapter out of a book, let's say To Kill a Mockingbird, and the student is feeding that chapter of To Kill a Mockingbird to Notebook LM to help them study for a quiz or to help them with comprehension or to take it to a different reading level. Is that a bad thing? It's not.
Mhm.
They're not asking the AI model to go out and generate content where there's a risk of hallucination. It is functioning off of content that is being provided by the student.
yeah, I
I'm
like that.
really liking this thought. I really like this thought.
Well, gentlemen, there's one post here, and we'll use this to wrap up this conversation in a bow. Somebody stated that it's up to the board to determine policy. However, given the board's past decisions, they'll leave it up to me to determine what grades it's appropriate for. So,
Yep.
Josh, Chris, what is your recommendation? Your board comes to you and says, "We don't have time for this. You make the decision." What are you doing?
I I think you got to do what Chris and I are already doing. You've got to have a committee. And if you don't have either a tech committee or an
And not a
AI,
joke committee, like a
no,
real
like
committee that's
yeah.
steering a ship. Like
And
don't have
realistically,
your stuff figured out already.
you probably already have teachers in your district that are good at using AI models. Tap them on the shoulder, ask them to come to the meeting and have a conversation. How are they using it? How would they like to see students use it?
Hmm.
What tools would they like to see students using? That's the conversation to be having with those classroom experts that are already. I have got a rock star English teacher that is just fantastic with different AI models, and she has been an amazing resource on our committee. I guarantee you have those rock stars in your districts too.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so we utilized KOSA has some great resources.
Yes.
Uh, there's one checklist that's really lengthy, and if you're a small school, maybe it's going to be some overkill for you, but you can still dig into it. There's some great meat in it. But I really felt like we had several meetings, and it was exciting to me because we weren't talking about the app. We weren't talking about Gemini or Magic School or what are we going to use. We were just talking about the general thing that is AI and what are we going to do with it with the kids.
Yeah.
And just some really good conversation about its impact on K-12. And some of that conversation was we know that we might block it at school with the kids using it at home. And we used to talk about that with other things where we're doing a disservice to those that don't
Well,
have.
it's an equity
If
issue.
we're if
Yeah.
yes, and that's real. And I don't think I used to think that way all the time, but AI is real, and the equity issue is real if we just keep blocking it for kids because you're going to have a bunch of kids that are you're either doing a disservice because you're not letting kids have any exposure, or you're doing a disservice because you're not helping kids figure out the right way to use the tool.
Yeah.
So I think you got to figure out how to get the overall AI on for your kids, figure out what that path looks like for you, and then start figuring out, is it Gemini? Is it Notebook LM, is it CoPilot, whatever, Magic School, whatever.
Chris, do you remember the conversation back when I first got into K-12? You were already a director, and schools were making that jump to Chromebooks. And there was that every year or every cycle, there was an argument of what's the right device. Is it the Chromebook?
Sure.
Is it iPads? Is it whatever that product that Microsoft tried floating for a while, those Chromebook like laptops that Microsoft had? And the argument was always around the hardware. And then the discussion became if you're arguing about the device, you're having the wrong conversation.
Yeah.
The argument shouldn't be over the device, or the conversation shouldn't be over the device. The conversation should be around what you're going to do if they have a device or when they have the device. And I think that could easily be flipped into this AI conversation. It really, at this point, shouldn't be an argument or a conversation around what tool is the right tool, the wrong tool. The conversation should be, what are we going to do with it? Because it's here, it's not going anywhere. We need to figure out what we're going to do with it to enrich the education of these kids. I think that we need to reframe that conversation.
Mark, what say you?
Um, I would say, I mean, I think it all depends on the culture of your district. I would say, many of these companies are calling these core services. They are defaulting to on. I would say I need to have a reason why I would not turn this on. I understand that there are probably many, many reasons, but I would try to push that back. Like you said, Josh, go to your committee, push that back to leadership to say, hey, this is a default on tool. Give me a reason why this should be turned off. I would strongly advocate to keep kids, like I said before, keep the kids in one environment. So keep them in CoPilot, keep them in Gemini. Um, I think I gravitate towards the upper grade levels being turned on. I really like that idea of turning NotebookLM on for at least the younger kids, if not for everybody. And then gravitating towards, turning these things on and trying to be a little bit more proactive and turn the tools on rather than having this stuff be done in the shadows. I take the approach of I would rather see it done within my walled garden than bury my head in the sand.
I will say, I was just looking at the Gemini reporting. Where'd that screen go? In Workspace. So if you log into your admin console and you go into the generative AI section, it's where you're going to turn off or on Gemini and Notebook LM. There's Gemini reporting, and it will give you usage stats for individual users as well as org level. What I wish would happen, and maybe this happens if you pay up for the enhanced app piece, I wish, at least from a student perspective, you could see some of those transactions take place. What they're asking, what they're feeding it, that kind of thing. I think that would assuage some concern. But all I can see right now is just usage stats. Like I've used it 2 times in the last 48 hours.
Eric, who wrote the article on Pro, his last little sentences I think are solid advice. If you're not sure, if policy's not ready, if training's not ready, if oversight's not in place, you can opt out and then pivot later. Like
Oh,
adjust your
sure.
settings by August though. Don't let, and to barely tiptoe into this, don't let the default on make your decision for you.
Yeah.
Let your default on help you make a decision. Um, Figure that part out.
I'm really liking the Notebook LM idea though.
Yeah. By the
What
way,
else?
Fortinet will be at Midwest Tech Talk. That's July 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Ordered a bunch of swag for Midwest Tech Talk today. Go to MidwestTechTalk.com. Fortinet and many others that we talked about on the podcast will be there.
Mark, you got anything else?
No, hopeful next week is ISTE, and typically a lot of companies come out with some announcements around that time frame. So hopefully we'll have some fun new stuff for the summertime coming out of ISTE next week, and along with some good news from the Supreme Court. So
Are
fingers
you
crossed.
are you going to ISTE, Mark?
No,
No.
no, no. It's a tough time with it. It's so close to 4th of July. It's a hard one this year.
Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, we that was episode 219. Give us some feedback. If you're what say you when it comes to the default on for Gemini Notebook LM? What's your thought on the Notebook LM idea being a content fed instead of pulling from other resources? What's your thought on that? Shoot us
By
an
the way,
email.
we're going to Georgia. July
Yes.
8th through 10th. All three
Yes.
of us will be in Georgia. I don't even know how you say it. Is it Gamas? Game is? We need to get told straight on this.
We should get that answer.
Yes.
Gamus. We're all in. Whatever this is, it's going to be the bestest.
So
We are recording an episode. We're presenting July 8th through the 10th.
shoot us an email, info@k12techtalkpodcast.com, or just the OG k12techtalk@gmail.com. We will share us with your friends. We want to see that jump in downloads again. Send us out to your distribution list, your meetings, whatever.
Crisscross to make you jump. 94.
That's a good end.
Well,
They
I
wore
don't
their
get
pants
it.
backwards.
Huh?
Okay.
Crisscross, jump. Downloads jumping.
Whatever.
I hate you guys.
We might not be the same. You share the same pain that I do.
The views and opinions expressed on the K12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
We were buying words about the phrase of the way and selling songs just to